Hey everyone, it's Kai from Kool Collectibles, back again for another review. This time it's the V from V for Vendetta 1/6 scale figure by Toys Power. Click the link in the description below to head on over to the Toys Power website for all the details on how to order this figure. Alright, recently I posted the unboxing photos for this particular figure and also another figure by Toys Power in their 2-figure set for the Patriot UFA. And I got a lot of messages from collectors who were really surprised that I'd picked them up. So I gotta say, I didn't actually buy these. I saw some photos of these on 1/6 Republic, and I just was lucky enough to be able to get in touch with Toys Power themselves, and they were good enough to send me a couple of samples to do specific reviews for this particular V for Vendetta figure, and also the 2-figure set in their Patriot UFA line of figures. So I just want to get that out of the way. So thanks again to Toys Power for sending these through, but I'll get on to the figure right now. Alright, just a quick look at the packaging and the accessories. It comes in this nice British Freight Company cardboard box that's pretty much like a shoebox, and I guess is based off of the corrupt British government that takes over in the movie. Now I guess I'm honestly not that big a fan of the movie myself. I remember it coming out maybe about 10 years ago now, and at the time it was probably a bit too dark and a bit too esoteric for my liking. You know, with all the dystopian fiction and so on, that's probably not up my alley, which is probably why so many collectors were surprised at me picking these up. But the packaging is a nice touch for that movie. The accessories, it also comes with the Guy Fawkes mask, which is a nice little addition. So it's just the standard sort of plastic mask that you get, and you can wear it. So that's pretty nice. It comes with a pretty nice base, which is in the sort of Hot Toys DX style, with V symbol there and anonymous. And you just clip this on just like you do with the other Hot Toys stands. There is a light feature, but I don't have the batteries in there. And but I guess with the Hot Toys ones, similar to this, you can then have these lights light up the figure. It comes with 3 pairs of hands, which are pretty much these gloved gauntlets. Now they're all fairly nicely detailed and painted. But one thing I do notice is that the plastic is quite hard in the hands, and so to get the knives or the daggers in, it is quite difficult. So you'll probably need either the hot water trick or the blow dryer, because as you can see, the finger here isn't too bad, but the hand part down here is quite hard, and you won't really be able to fit the hilt of the blades in there very well. So just be aware of that. And each one of them just comes with a little peg hole, and I'll show you guys how to swap these out in a second. It comes with these daggers. You get 6 of them, if I can get this thing to focus. So these are actually real metal, and they're actually really nicely detailed. So these are probably the best accessory for me, not including the outfit, which I'll show you guys in a second. But I do like the sculpting and the detail. So you get 6 of these, so you can wear 3 on each side of his belt, just like the movie. And they're all metal, so that's a nice touch. You also get a rose, which is really nicely painted and a nice touch as well. So these are just soft plastic, I think, so I'm not going to try and bend that too much, but the rose itself is pretty nice. Now he does come with a hat, his hat of course, and it's a nice felt material. Now I guess the disappointing thing with the hat is that this top part here is not one complete piece, so you can see that there's a gap there. When I first took it out of the box, I actually thought this top bit was put on with some Velcro, but I think it's actually glued on, and I guess with the glue sometimes the edges sort of rise up a little bit, so you just have to sort of push it down just to keep that gap at a minimum. But on sort of normal display you probably won't notice it too much. And I guess it also has this sort of hard glue on the outside, I think, that you might be able to see the sort of shimmering there. So I'm not sure why that's done. That might just be to keep the material sort of together on the edge there. And it also has the sort of felt material wrapping around there. So this is very similar to the Hot Toys Joker, DX08 Joker hat, which I have here as a comparison. So you can see here the Hot Toys version has no gap at the top here, and it's just one sort of piece, and so it would have been perfect if they had somehow managed to do that with this particular hat. But that's probably the only negative on the hat itself. The material is really nice, and the colouring is pretty good too, and it does fit on the head very well, so you can push it quite a bit down to give him the look out of the movie. So, and I'll show you guys that in a second. But onto the figure. Alright, so here is the figure, and overall I gotta say I'm really impressed with the way they've done it. There are a couple of gotchas which I'll get to in a second, but overall it's a pretty solid figure, and I think the price point's about 160 US. So for that, it's pretty damn good. So, and this is my first figure with rooted hair, and it is pretty daunting because it does tend to sort of rise up, particularly after you've put the hat on. But I'll just take it off and see if I can give you a closer look. The material is really nice, and I do like how they've got the sort of part in the middle there that's sort of naturally done, and he does have the fringe that he has out of the movie, and so they've done that pretty accurately. Now, one thing you probably need to be careful of with the hair, out of the box it comes with this plastic that's wrapped around it, and I think that's just to keep all the hair together, and getting that plastic off is it's pretty tight, and you just might leave behind some glue residue that's on the back of that plastic wrap. So just be careful, but I just used a bit of water, and I was able to get that glue residue off. But the sort of colouring of the hair, the way it sort of sits is all quite natural, and if you sort of futz around with it, it doesn't sort of stick up too much at all. And once you sort of put the hat on, you can then push it down and sort of futz around with it, and I think that looks pretty good. So definitely happy with the way they've done the hair there. So as you can see, I just took it off and it sort of starts to stick up, but just get a bit of water or something. I think other people use some sort of hair product or something like that. I've never actually done that before, being this my first figure with rooted hair. So unfortunately I can't give a comparison to other figures, but overall with this particular look it's actually quite natural. And the mask itself, not too bad at all. I think they've done a nice job with the white gloss and the sort of pink highlights on the cheeks and so on there. Now I'm not sure if in the movie you can actually see his eyes through the mask, so if you can, I probably haven't gone back to check the source, but I guess with the eyes here you just sort of see the black infill there and not really the eyes underneath. So I guess it doesn't sort of give the impression that it's a mask, but I guess if you sort of lift the hair back, you sort of reveal the ears and the side of the head there. So in that sense, it does look like a mask. So it gives a pretty good illusion, but I guess if you could see his eyes there, that might have just been that added touch to it. But the best thing about this figure, definitely for me, is the outfit itself. I think it's really nicely tailored, and the material that they've used is pretty much on par with anything that I've seen out of Sideshow at least, and maybe even Hot Toys. The cape here is a really nice thin felt material. It's similar to the Sideshow Darth Vader figure. I don't even know if it's actually identical or not, but it's very similar, and it doesn't have all the fraying at the bottom that the Vader figure suffered. So there were quite a few QC issues with the Vader figure on initial release, but this one here, all the edging is pretty cleanly cut, so no fraying or anything like that, and the cape itself does seem to drape very naturally, so you can sort of have it covering the front here like so, or you can fold it back over his shoulders, so it does display very well with that cape. The actual tunic and the suit here, I'm not quite sure how to describe this material. It's a fairly soft material, and it's got this sort of crosshatch patterning on it that you might be able to see on the viewfinder here now. And I think there is a zip that goes all the way down here, but I haven't taken off the head sculpt to have a look underneath if you can actually pull it down. I probably wouldn't recommend it, and I would just leave it like this. But the tunic itself is pretty nicely tailored. It fits the body well. It probably does restrict the articulation in the arms a little bit, so you can articulate the arms out like so, and I think it probably restricts the rotation. I think that's probably as high as you can get it, and it starts to restrict, and towards the back it sort of starts to pull the suit, and so for me, I'll probably leave it in a more of a static pose. Now, I was warned by a few collectors about the underlying body and the tightness of the elbows, and when I first got it out of the box, the elbows were very tight, but after I articulated them for a while, they have loosened up, and they're probably just about right now. So I'll just give you guys a look at them. I think they're only single jointed elbows, and it's probably up around here, so you just make sure you hold the arm fairly tight to brace it, and then you can just move it like so, and then you can just bend it back like so. It's not too difficult to bend after you sort of loosen the joint, and similarly on this particular side. And the ratchet, I think, on this side is probably a little more pronounced, as you can see there, but overall not too bad at all. I guess the underlying body doesn't seem to have, I can't find a bicep swivel, and so the arms sort of tend to be in that sort of static hands by the side position, so you can't really sort of rotate the bicep out, but that's not too bad a sort of pose for, you know, the sort of standard position where you have the cape sort of around your shoulders and so on. The belt is also nicely done. I'll just pick this up and give you guys a look. I'm not actually sure how they sort of connect this belt. I haven't tried looking at whether or not you can sort of take that apart. It looks like it is sort of all this material here, this sort of fake leather material is buckled through. So that's a really nice bit of detail there. So I don't think, I wouldn't recommend trying to undo that at all. But the best thing about the belt itself are these 6 little ringlets, and they are pegged through, so they're not just glued on, which is good, because getting these daggers in, you just need to sort of angle them and slot them through, and with the daggers being real metal, there is a bit of weight there, so it's lucky that they're not glued on, because they probably would have fallen off. But the way they're sort of angled like that towards the back really gives it a nice look in that sort of splayed open design that you see out of the movie. So that's a really nicely done touch, and I think these are, I think they're metal. I can't really tell if they're metal, but the daggers definitely are. So you can have them posed on all sides, or, you know, however you want, with him holding a couple of the daggers as well. The pants, the material on the pants is like it's almost like a khaki type material, but just dyed in black, and so they are pretty flexible, and they're nicely tailored as well, so there's not like there's a lot of bagginess in the crotch area, and just on the back here, so you can sort of see the stitching and so on. So it's all nicely tailored, and it fits the body pretty well, so I can't complain too much about the pants. The boots, I guess the boots, the one thing that is probably a negative for me on the boots is they are a very hard plastic, so there's no sort of play in the ankle area, so you can't really have any sort of ankle tilt motion, so they are a pretty static kind of boot. But the detailing itself, I can just get some light and zoom in. The paint application is a nice glossy black, and it does have nice sort of stitching mold on it, and the sole as well is nicely detailed. So the mold itself is pretty good. The top part is probably a little bit softer, but it's this ankle area that really does restrict the articulation. But the knees, I do like the body in that the knees feel very nice and firm and aren't difficult to articulate. The sideshow bodies, particularly on the Boba Fett that I have and the previous Tusken Raider, the knees were pretty much impossible to move, whereas these ones here are quite nice and don't feel too loose, but don't feel too tight either, so definitely like that. And you get the usual rotation and ball joint sort of action like that. But it's a shame that when you can sort of splay the legs out, you can't really articulate the ankles inwards. But that is pretty much it for the articulation and the outfit. Let me just show you the arm swap, the gauntlets. So here the outer sort of plastic is a bit softer, so you have a bit of play there. And so pretty much all you do, let me just get this stand out the way. You just sort of brace that and just gently pull, if I can do it. There we go. And that sort of reveals this joint. So I think it's pretty much the standard sort of body joint that you see on these kind of 1/6 scale figures. And the outfit here, I actually initially thought the outfit was glued in, but it does have a bit of play, so depending on how you want to pose the elbows and so on, you can sort of just futz around with the outfit and make it sit a bit better against the body. And then pretty much all you do is get the appropriate hand, and each one has a hole, and you just sort of hold the outfit, try not to get it bunched up, and so push it down as far as you can, and then just push it up until you pretty much hear a click. You might just need to do a bit of the hot water or blow dry trick just to soften up the plastic in there a little bit. But once you get it on, it's pretty tight, so not too much to complain about there. Now if I just show you the hands and how they might be able to hold the daggers. So I guess, with the hand sculpt like this, you could pose it as he's about to throw it or something like that. Now I guess the difficult thing for me is because there's this sort of protruding section here on the hilt, it is quite difficult to slot that in. So I haven't actually tried the hairdryer trick or anything like that yet to try and get the hands in, but I might do that and post some photos on the Facebook page, so just stay tuned for that. But overall, with the rose, for example, he does have, I think it's this rose sort of holding hand, so you can just sort of gently slot that in there and futz around with how we might hold that, something along those lines, or even a bit closer up the top or something like that. But plenty of options, and just be careful how you sort of articulate it so you don't snap any of the accessories. You wouldn't want to snap this stem here at all. But that is pretty much it for the Toys Power V for Vendetta figure. Overall, I gotta say, I'm really impressed. It's probably on par with anything that I've seen out of Sideshow Collectibles. It's probably not up to the high standards of Hot Toys just yet. But I guess at the price point of about $160, on average, they're probably about $90 to $100 cheaper than Hot Toys at the moment. So for value for money, it's pretty good. And if you're a fan of V for Vendetta, I think the only other 1/6 scale figure that's been released in this character was probably a few years ago by DC Direct. I think there was another 12-inch figure released, but it definitely didn't have the sort of articulation or the nice material in the outfits, and I'm not sure if it even had real metal daggers and so on. So this is definitely a step up from the previous DC Direct figure, and I think from what I can find, probably the only V for Vendetta figure out there, so definitely jump on board if you're a fan of the movie. So I hope you guys like that look at this particular figure from Toys Power. Hope you can click that subscribe button, because I've got their next figure in the line of the Patriot UFE, and it is the 2-pack, so there's plenty of accessories to go through, and it does look like a pretty awesome figure, so hope you can stay tuned for that. Thanks again, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Cheers, bye.